The Earth is compared to a treasure chest that holds ancient secrets from time immemorial, waiting to be discovered. In this video we will see some of the archaeological mysteries that have intrigued humanity throughout time. Number 1. Ancient Chariot Tomb. It seems to have been an unfortunate fact in ancient China that when leaders or warriors went to their final resting place, their horses accompanied them, whether they were dead or not. In November 2017, archaeologists discovered a mass burial site containing 4 ancient chariots and the remains of nearly 100 horses in the city of Xinjiang, Hunan Province. The chariots can be reliably dated to the spring and autumn period of China, about 2,700 years ago. One of the chariots is especially impressive, measuring 3 meters and elaborately decorated with bronze and bone. This is likely a family tomb that belonged to one of the noble families of the Shang state. Unfortunately, no inscriptions or written records were found inside the tomb. However, they found many impressive bronze artifacts that serve as further confirmation of the wealth of the tomb's owners. Curiously, they could find no human remains, despite being sure there must have been some in the tomb at some point. Since the horses almost certainly entered the tomb alive, it is macabrely possible that they ate the remains of their owners. Number 2. Ancient Swamp Body. It is an unfortunate fact of life that humans sometimes find themselves trapped in peat bogs, unable to free themselves, and lose their lives there. When a so-called bog body was found in Denmark in April 1952, it was initially believed to belong to a peat cutter named Red Christian, who disappeared from the area in 1887. Radiocarbon dating of the corpse told a very different story. This body was not from the recent past, it was positively ancient. Now known as the Grobel Man, due to the bog's proximity to the town of Grobel, this well-preserved body belongs to someone who died more than 2,300 years ago, during the Iron Age. What confuses experts about the body is that his hands show no signs of the roughness that would come with manual labor, which would be expected of a civilian of this era. He was around 30 years old, stood 1 meter 52 centimeters tall, and based on the contents of his stomach, could have been a vegetarian. We think of veganism and vegetarianism as trends of the modern era, but perhaps they are much older than we think. Number 3. Iron Age Banqueting Site. Cooking meals was a communal activity in England during the Iron Age. You can see that by the size of these cauldrons, which were found at an ancient banqueting site in Glenfield Park, Leicestershire, in November 2017. The site was explored by archaeologists ahead of the construction of a large commercial warehouse and returned several exciting results. It seems that during the Iron Age there was a small settlement here, but no one knew it existed until archaeologists came along. The team identified enclosures, post holes, ditches and roundhouses at the northernmost end of the planned development site, plus evidence that the site remained inhabited during the Roman era in the British Isles. The area is particularly rich in ancient metalwork, including brooches, horn caps, dress pins and, of course, these 11 metal cauldrons. It is only the second time that multiple Iron Age cauldrons have been found together in Europe, and by far the largest number. The cauldrons were arranged in a circular trench around a building, after which the trench was filled, perhaps signifying the end of ceremonial activities at the site. Number 4. Ancient Greek Helmet. Not all ancient warriors left the battlefield with their helmets still in their possession. Some were left behind, either by accident or burial. Not all of them are historically notable, but this Greek bronze helmet is. This is because it is 2,500 years old and was found in the Russian district of Taman, far from where such an object should be. The only helmet that looks like this that has appeared on the territory of the former Soviet Union before was found during the 19th century near Kiev. This Corinthian-style helmet is like nothing previously discovered in the northern region of the Black Sea area. You will find depictions of helmets like these on numerous Greek vessels and also on the statue of Athena, but finding real examples in the world occurs much less frequently. There is still some debate as to whether they were used for military or ceremonial purposes. The helmets are like a cube and would severely hinder both the vision and range of motion of anyone wearing them. The narrow eye slits would have made it impossible to look left or right, so if in battle, the warriors within them would have to face the enemy head-on. Number 5. Dead Sea Scrolls. Almost everyone has heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls, but how much do you know about them? Did you know, for example, that they were discovered by accident and that someone once tried to sell them in the classified section of a newspaper? The famous scrolls were found by teenage Bedouin goat herders in the ancient city of Qumran in Israel in 1947, hidden inside a cave on the shore of the Dead Sea. Realizing that the leather scrolls could be significant, the shepherds sold them to a local antiques dealer, who contacted experts and discovered that they were more than 2,000 years old. That sparked frantic exploration and the eventual discovery of more than 800 manuscripts. The collection was divided up and sold around the world, including through a 1954 advertisement in the Wall Street Journal. The origins of the texts are mysterious, but they are believed to have been written by a devout Jewish sect known as the Essenes about 2,100 years ago. Within them is what is considered the oldest known manuscript of the Old Testament, including writings that do not appear in the official version of the book. Tantalizingly, one of the scrolls is written in copperplate and appears to detail the location of a huge ancient treasure, one that treasure hunters still seek to this day. Number 6. Iron Age bark shields. In 2015, archaeologists made a discovery considered unique in European history. In Leicester, United Kingdom, several bark shields dating from 395 to 255 BC, during the Iron Age, were discovered. Although the bark is not considered strong enough to withstand combat, studies on the shields revealed that they had seen plenty of action. Even after being discarded, they stood the test of time buried in a well-used-to-water livestock. Attempts to recreate the shields further surprised scientists, finding that they were incredibly durable and repelled arrows and weapon blows. In addition, they were lighter than iron ones and were perfect for combat. Number 7. La Fuente Magna. La Fuente Magna is a large stone vessel resembling a libation bowl, accidentally discovered by a farmer near Lake Titicaca in Bolivia in 1958. La Fuente Magna is beautifully engraved with anthropomorphic characters and zoological motifs that are considered characteristic of the culture of the time. Surprisingly, the artifact shows two types of writing. One is a local language of the ancient Pucara, precursors of the Tiahuanaco civilization, and another is an ancient Proto-Sumerian alphabet dating back 5,000 years. The artifact is sometimes known as the Rosetta Stone of America and is one of the most controversial objects in South America. Until now, scientists are still trying to decipher the text of the Magna Fountain. Number 8. Acambaro figures. The figures are an intriguing archaeological find discovered by Valdemar J. Rudd, a German amateur archaeologist, in Acambaro, Guanajuato, Mexico. These figures consist of approximately 33,000 tiny ceramic representations that challenge conventional perceptions of history and archaeology. Rudd claimed that the figures resembled dinosaurs, which has sparked controversy and debates over their authenticity. Some consider the figures to be anachronistic and question the coexistence of humans and dinosaurs. However, skeptics point to the lack of formal archaeological excavations and proper documentation, which has raised doubts about the veracity of the findings. Controversy also centers on Rudd's motivations and tactics, suggesting that the figures could be modern fabrications to support a dramatic narrative. The Acambaro figures raise questions about the relationship between humans and dinosaurs, but the lack of solid scientific support and the absence of formal investigations underscore the need for a more rigorous archaeological approach to evaluate their authenticity. Number 9. The Rosetta Stone. The Rosette Stone's journey from a modest slab of stone to a key piece of historical knowledge has spanned centuries. Discovered in Egypt in 1799, this stone has become an essential artifact for unraveling the mysteries of the past. The Rosetta Stone is notable for its trilingual inscription in Greek, which was crucial to understanding the complicated hieroglyphs that had baffled researchers for years. Its importance lies in its role as a key to understanding the symbolic writing of ancient Egypt, which unites past and present and opens the door to a deep exploration of the history and culture of this fascinating civilization. Scholars deciphered hieroglyphs using the Greek part of the stone, unlocking the secrets of Egypt's ancient mysteries. This artifact marks a turning point in the search for human knowledge. In addition to its linguistic achievements, the Rosetta Stone offers an extraordinary glimpse into a fascinating society that continues to pique people's interest today. This ancient relic provides us with a valuable window into the customs, beliefs, and linguistic subtleties of an ancestral community shrouded in a halo of mystery. The Rosette Stone transcends its status as a static object and becomes a living witness of the immense power that linguistic keys can have to reveal the secrets of our past and better understand our present. By opening historical doors, he not only produced hieroglyphs, but also united different cultures and epochs. The Rosette Stone became a symbol of this linguistic convergence and a metaphorical key to unlocking the stories of human heritage. The decipherment of the Rosette Stone was a pivotal moment in Egyptology, led by Jean-François Champollion, a French scholar. His achievement demonstrated the power of interdisciplinary teamwork and linguistic competence in discovering ancient civilizations. Number 10. The lead sarcophagus of Notre Dame de Paris. The lead sarcophagus of Notre Dame Cathedral, also known as Our Lady of Paris, was discovered during restoration works after the devastating fire of 2019. Two mysterious sarcophagi were found under the nave of the cathedral and, after months of investigation, details about the people buried in them were revealed. The first sarcophagus is believed to contain the ashes of Antoine de la Porte, a high priest, while the second houses the remains of an unknown man nicknamed Le Cavalier, presumably a horseman. Although these discoveries shed light on the history of individuals from different eras, there is still much to learn about their lives and historical implications. Investigations revealed that Antoine de la Porte led a sedentary life with signs of food and alcohol abuse. His burial site adorned with royalties suggests an aristocratic heritage. On the other hand, the second sarcophagus, which contains Le Cavalier, presents notable differences, indicating that these people lived in different times. The discovery of these sarcophagi has added a new chapter to the history of Notre Dame Cathedral and has generated interest in the life and society of those buried within. Archaeological research continues to unravel more details about these historical figures and their connection to the rich history of the cathedral and the city of Paris. Number 11. Black Magic Grimoire. The Grimoire of Black Magic is exactly what it sounds like, an ancient book of black magic dating from 1421 to 1521. However, no historian has agreed on when the first edition was published. Expert Owen Davis says that it was in 1702 that the first edition was made available, but other more conventional scholars suggest that it was written in the 19th century as some kind of hoax. All we know is that the Black Magic Grimoire, also known as the Great Grimoire, is vague at best. Introductory, it was probably written by a man named Antonio Benitez Ana de Rubino, and he got much of his information from the original writings of King Solomon. Many of the black magic spells in the book are variations of the Key of Solomon or the Red Dragon. So what does a black magic book have to do with the Vatican? It is rumored that the original copy is stored somewhere within the archives. We don't know if any of this is true, but it's what some sources say, and considering that the Vatican archives house almost all of the world's relevant religious texts, it wouldn't be a big surprise. It makes sense that they would keep a book a secret that can supposedly summon Lucifer and give one the ability to make a deal with the devil. Number 12. Jesus' Death Certificate. The Shroud of Turin is a small piece of linen cloth that appears to show the imprint of Jesus' face, like a negative on a roll of film. Religious scholars believe that the shroud wrapped Christ's body after his death, which is why his face was imprinted on it. The shroud is first mentioned in 1354 and quickly became one of the most legendary religious artifacts in the world. It has been kept within the Royal Chapel of Turin Cathedral in northern Italy since 1578. However, it is quite controversial, as tests in 1988 showed that it came from the Middle Ages, some 1,200 years after the recorded death of Christ. Recently, Barbara Frail, a researcher in the Vatican's secret archives, claims that traces of writing were found on the shroud, making it a kind of death certificate. According to Barbara, the word fragments discovered on the shroud were written in Greek, Hebrew, and Latin, saying something like this shroud was placed on Jesus of Nazareth. This information comes directly from someone who works at the Vatican. Number 13. The 16 Hands. In Egypt, the excavation team discovered 16 human hands buried in 4 separate pits, but that's not the strangest thing. They are all right hands, there are no left hands. According to experts, this is the first physical evidence of an ancient practice in which soldiers cut off the right hand of their enemies and exchanged it for gold. The 2 wells found in front of what is believed to be a throne room contain 1 hand each, while the other 2 wells contained the remaining 14 right hands. These wells were built in a space outside the palace at a later date. Cutting off an enemy's right hand had a symbolic purpose of taking away their strength and power eternally. The director of the excavations at Avaris, Dr. Manfred Biotak, explained that the right hand was chosen specifically to facilitate the counting of victims. It is believed that the Hyksos, who ruled Egypt between the 16th and 17th centuries BC, were the ones who introduced this practice. However, no records of this practice have been found in the Hyksos north of Canaan, so it is uncertain whether the Hyksos took it from the Egyptians or vice versa, or whether it originated somewhere else. The discovery of these hands is chilling and offers a glimpse into the ancient world of war and violence. Number 14. Canopic glasses. The mummification process of the Egyptians consisted of the extraction of the main organs and then carrying out a separate mummification process. Later, they were kept in special containers that were placed next to the mummy. We are referring to the canopic jars, a constant throughout the history of Egypt, and today they are a valuable source of information for archaeologists. They were usually closed with a flat slab since the discovery of the process, but at the beginning of the New Kingdom, the plug took the shape of the head of the deceased and of various animals. Centuries later, the head of these different vases protected the organ they contained. Additionally, it had representations of different deities. For example, Hapi had a human head and kept the liver, Imsiti had a lid in the shape of a baboon's head and kept the lungs, Duamutef with a jackal-shaped lid contained the stomach. The containers were protected in a tomb by a titular goddess such as Isis, Nephthys, Selkis and Nephthys, and had to be oriented towards one of the cardinal points, as required by the ritual. In this ancient culture there was a belief that if they were not kept well, the deceased would not revive in the afterlife.